Hi, welcome to Blacticulate, a podcast series featuring UK young black professionals, where we find out how they do what they do, so you can too. Or not. After all, it is your life. Guys, you are listening to Akara. And that's not how I normally begin it. I normally go, what up? But no, this is blessed. Okay, Akara, so you know what Blacticulate is all about.
Yep.
It really is all about giving voice to black millennials, African and Afro-Caribbean diasporas within the UK doing positive, amazing things. Mm-hmm. And you are one of them.
Thank you very much, bro.
You're one of them. So for those who don't know you, what's your expertise? If I can just put that out there, or how do you identify yourself, like professionally?
Professionally, I identify myself as a music producer. Also, I struggle a little bit because I'm quite self-effacing. I kind of will talk down and say, oh, I'll do a bit of this, a bit of that. But I produce music, I make beats, I songwrite, I mix records. I think we were chatting, I've mentioned I had a couple of tracks on Radio 1, played some international festivals as part of different setups, different acts. For me, it's about if someone has an idea for a song in their head or they've written something, I'm the person who brings it all together, makes that music come out from the speakers.
Amazing. Okay, so we're going to definitely jump into exactly how you do that.
Okay.
The tools, the tricks, and the trade. But when you say, is it just across the board, or do you specialize in a specific genre?
I would say R&B.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've grown up with, and it kind of comes out in everything I do. So even when I make dance music, it will have a soulful twist. It will have a vibe in there. I might even do some vocals on it in that kind of style.
Right. What is R&B, especially in this day and age? You always get R&B and hip hop merged together, and it's
true.
Yeah, what's your definition being in the industry?
I would say it's generally something with singing on it, but like you said, the line is blurred. So singing, rapping, some people are called rappers when they're singers. Like I've heard people like Jeremiah called rappers, or Drake, called a rapper when half their records are singing, but in a kind of lyrical, rhythmic style, almost like rap. But for me, R&B it's black music, bringing it back to what we're here for. It's a black art form. It's centered around the bass, around groove, around melody, harmony. R&B was traditionally rhythm and blues. So from a musical perspective, you've got blues chords, blues progressions, which kind of underline it. A lot of the samples that are used, that's a big thing now, sampling Aaliyah, 90s.
Aaliyah, rest in peace.
Do you know what I mean? Rest in peace.
I wonder, would she have been bigger than Beyonce? Everyone's claiming, that argument.
That's such a tough call.
Because Aaliyah sort of, rest in peace, we always said that, but that's what paved or allowed Beyonce to shine. I don't know.
In a way, single, young, black female doing her thing as a solo artist, incredibly, powerful imagery.
Yeah.
But in a way, I'm going to say something controversial.
All right, yes.
In a way, I think that if she hadn't have died, she wouldn't have been as big as she is.
Ah, yes. Legacy.
Definite legacy. Even to this day, I listen to her music and I tear up because I remember that season and Trevor Nelson was playing her records and saying she's just passed. She was literally just coming on a kind of peak. She was in the Matrix films, and then it was almost like, wow. But it's not that we want that to happen, but it kind of stamped her place in history, eternally.
No, 100%. Because there are rarely any living legends.
Rarely.
Rarely. Let's bring it back to you. Let's bring it back to you then. I'm about this. Upbringing, what was growing up like? Ooh. Because, I assume growing up was what helped you shape the career path that you've chosen.
In a way, and interesting, I know we're going to talk about challenges, but...
Hey man, don't put it out there. We definitely are. You're giving out the format already.
Careful, kids. We're going to talk about challenges. But part of what's made me is having to grow up in, it's not woe is me, but a traditional African religious family where it isn't an option to be an artist. That's not what you've been brought up for. It's not what your parents have struggled for. It's not what they've crossed seas and traveled thousands of miles and left family behind for. It's for you to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. And part of my struggle, this is probably about age 19, 20, was almost coming out to my parents and being like, actually, I've been doing this secretly for ages. I'm a musician. I've been DJing. I've been throwing parties. I'm not really interested in my degree, which was computer science.
Okay.
It held so little interest for me. After 4 or 5 years of study, I was like, I'm loving music. I'm working professionally as a musician. Let me do this.
How was it received?
I mean, my mum gave me a call the other day and she was like, Akara, it's time. It's time for you to get a proper job.
Oh, no, still.
Still.
Oh, okay.
And my dad still is like, I don't quite understand how you do it, but as long as you pay your bills, then fine. But yeah, backtracking, musical family, grew up in church, from age, as long as I can remember, we were doing church at home, you'd sing songs and, play instruments. I learned piano and violin since, from age 6. And we'd always be singing songs at church from, age 2, 3, whatever it was. So you just grow up in an environment where people are musical,
Yeah, I get it. So you're almost saying it's just in your blood. Yeah, then actually it almost kind of brings me on to black people and dancing, right? Apparently we are just good dancers, but then why white people not? Just gonna throw that in a mix.
You can't dance, are they?
No, that's true. I mean, hey fam, don't put me on blast like that. There's too much in me. I've been brought up in UK, too British.
No, I'm kidding.
But no, that's always an interesting concept about just it being in your blood and but yeah, it's not or it's never seen as a professional pursuit. But so what was the catalyst like? Obviously I know you did computer science, but was there anything that you went, you know what, I have to make this work music wise? Is there a story?
There's been a few of those moments over the past few years. Okay. One of them was going away and doing an industrial placement at a software firm, and I found it absolutely mind-numbing.
Right.
I was so bored at work, and what used to get me through it was having my music collection with me. I used to bring my hard drive to work.
Okay.
It's like 20,000 songs, plug in, headphones in, quote-unquote work, whilst listening to music. And then I would go home in the evenings and just make beats and beats until I was so tired and fall asleep. And that was one of those things that cemented in my mind that I couldn't be stuck in an office working for someone else when actually I had all this creativity and all this passion for music in me.
Yeah. I think what's interesting there, if I can interject somewhat, sorry. Many people believe they're creative. Many people believe, that they're musical to a degree, or, and with technology, the rise of being able to do it without actually having to learn music itself, produce beats, there's increase, I guess, competition.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So I guess this then brings us into the sort of the challenges, how do you make a name for yourself? How do you personally get paid to be a professional musician? A professional musician. How?
It is a huge challenge, and it's a debate that musicians and artists and creatives will always have. I think that there's almost necessarily a contradiction between being a fantastic artist and being someone who's smart business-wise and who gets money, to quote 50 Cent.
Okay.
And even to quote him as well, I don't necessarily think he's the most talented, but he has a certain bullishness in business, which has meant that he's become incredibly successful. And I think we all know that he's probably made more money from his vitamin water investment than he did from his music. So even then, it's difficult. But I think the challenge that I've faced and the way that I've kind of tried to play it out is to network. Surround yourself by people who are passionate about other things. And I'm passionate about your music, but who can bring other things to the table.
Right.
So as a collective force, you've almost got all the bases covered. You've got someone doing the artwork, someone doing the mixing, someone doing the mastering, someone doing the writing, someone doing the producing. And it just comes together. It's an undeniable product.
Right.
You need people in your corner. You have to stick at it, I think. You don't want to be... You can be a flash in the pan, you can be a one-hit wonder, but I think that's a very slim chance of success.
Yeah, and also it almost seems a bit as if you don't really want it as one. You just wanted that one hit and you're happy with, I guess, the accolades that come with it, the ego stroke.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think that is it for some people. You look at things like X Factor, not everyone is like this, but I think certain people go on these shows because they want the trappings that come with being famous, as opposed to they actually want to be a musician. And going back to my previous point, if you dedicate your life to your craft, that isn't necessarily the most marketable thing. We all have those kind of like crazy friends who, they don't sleep for a week and they just lock themselves in a studio, or they're writing their book or whatever, and they come up with this amazing stuff, but perhaps they're not the best at relating to people or something like that. But they're incredibly gifted and focused at what they do. Whereas some of the people who perhaps make it into the lights, they have the look, they have the sound, perhaps, but not necessarily the real stylistic substance. They haven't dedicated themselves to that art. So I think the challenge is to do dedicate yourself to your art, but have people around you who know the business side, be aware of the business side of things, and work out how you can connect to your audience, which I think is important in any type of business. Just be aware, who's my audience, who's my customer base, and how do I connect to them, how do I sell to them, how do I offer them things that they're willing to exchange money for.
Okay, well, can I make it contextual, specific to you?
Okay.
How do you do it? I mean, do you remember your first, I guess, paid gig? For you to officially turn it to professional because you've been paid to do it.
I've done all kinds of paid gigs, and I didn't really think of it as a big deal. Probably think of it more as a big deal now, but back at university, I went to York University, and it was a very white university, very, I guess, middle class, quite hippie, quite intellectual, not that much R&B and hip hop going on. And when I say not that much, I mean
None.
Zero. So when we got to university, and this is like 2002, I think it was.
Boy, you're aging yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm just going out there with it. We were like, this has to stop. So we started a hip hop and R&B. So me and my friends.
Yeah, give me a shout out.
So one of my best mates, Dan Everard, some guys called, who else was there? Ben Goddard.
Were they all black?
Not all of them black.
Okay.
Alex Gledhill, Michael Edwards, MJ. So we started a hip hop and R&B society, and some of the guys would be focused on liaising with the colleges and the universities to find us like venues, and then me and Dan and Alex and Ben, we'd be the DJs, right. And like as a collective, we used to throw our own events. And after the first 2 or 3, we started to make a profit, and because it's a university society, it wasn't profit for us, but it was like actually showing us, hey, you can make some money from this. And that's what kind of kicked off my DJ career.
Right.
And then in terms of producing and writing songs, I've done it for fun since I was 14, 15. And it was only kind of post-university, I was already DJing for money, that I started to think, hang on, I want to be more known as a DJ, and that means I need to write more records. So I just worked on it. And the last couple of years, I decided to take it seriously. It was like, hang on, I want to make this a career. I've been talking about it for so long, and I just started to put adverts out there. I used sites like Gumtree, I used Google AdWords. Yeah.
Okay.
Started my, got my little website going, and just tried to advertise, hey, I'm a producer, and just started calling myself a producer. I'm a producer. I charge this amount, and I'm going to meet you, see if we click, and maybe we'll work together. And that's like literally last, I'd say 3-4 years, started to get paid, actually as a client and a producer, right. Getting paid to produce for people as opposed to gig or to DJ or some of that other stuff.
That's phenomenal. But okay, so your clients, do you tend to find that they are of a specific type?
There's a whole range. I mean, I think if you're starting out, Gumtree is great, but we all know that Gumtree is people looking for bargains. So you're perhaps not going to find the most lucrative clients on there, but it gives you a taste. I think,
and I think that's quite important, actually, if you think about it, just starting, regardless of the actual price. If you can get paid, then you know that you can always increase your rates further down the line, so long as you provide, I guess, value. Yeah,
I agree. Provide value.
Yeah.
And I think it's a psychological barrier as well, because so many people in this industry, they do work for a favour or for mates or for jokes or as a hobby. And once you take that step and actually get paid, it switches your brain a little bit. You're like, hang on, I can actually make this a career, and my skills and my time and my resources have value. I think that's important.
No, 100%.
Hey guys, before we return to the episode, I just wanted to say I appreciate you listening. And if you'd like to get involved, then please visit www.blacticulate.com for more information. Now let's get back to the episode.
So, okay, someone who wants to start, I know you said network, right? Immerse yourself in just basically finding people who can bring to the table something you can't.
Yep.
Right? But can you, I mean, I guess you can always do anything. Should you do it alone?
I would say no.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion. And that is based on the fact that I do a lot of things, and I've seen how difficult and stressful it can be to be juggling that much at once. And I think it makes it more difficult for you to dedicate yourself to your craft. And it also makes it more difficult for you to kind of live the rest of your life, to relax, to take time off.
Okay.
You know, I experienced, recently going on holiday. I was meant to go away for 2 weeks, but I had a song that I had to finish, and I was determined to do as much of it myself as possible. And it meant that for a week of the holiday, I was stressed.
Oh, no.
Because I was mixing, I was writing, I was going back and forth with the client. And eventually, I outsourced it, paid some people, they delivered incredibly, and it was done. And I could actually just be sitting back, enjoying the sunshine, whilst they were working away on it, pulled it all together, sent it off to the client. He was really happy. So...
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great story in order to be able to... I think there's a proverb, I'm going to say African because I'm pro-black, but where it's like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I agree.
So yeah, it is all about bringing it. Okay, so any... give me some other gems in terms of what to do in order to be a professional, not musician but producer. Let's put that hat on.
Okay, producer.
Because I think you use like softwares like Logic Pro.
Yep.
Any others?
I started off on this definitely showing my age. Reason and Rebirth back in the day. Then Fruity Loops when it was called Fruity Loops. It's now FL Studio. So I learned all of those. I can, if I spend an hour or two with them, I'll get really familiar. Ableton, I love because it's warping. It's the way that it deals with material music that is has different tempos. So I love Ableton for that. Also for live performances, I've used Ableton and as for solo stuff and as part of a group.
What's the best ones out there? Because it seems like there's a plethora of platforms. But I mean, particularly for someone who is just starting and doesn't, that individual is going to be looking at YouTube's, tutorials. So
I don't know. I mean,
is that a really difficult question?
It's difficult because it's really subjective.
Yeah,
it's like saying what's the best mobile phone. A lot of people might say iPhone, but for some people it just doesn't make sense. Or perhaps the apps that they want aren't available. We were trying to do something early, and I was like, okay, you could do it in Logic, but it's perhaps not quite as precise or straightforward as you might want it to be. So I think it's almost play around with them. What's available to you as well, because they're all different price points, and a lot of people pirate software, which I did at first. And I got to a point where I was like, hang on, my mindset is I want to make some money from this. Let me give the money to the people who've created this product and expect that people will give money to me for the work that I'm going to do. Yeah. So I bought FL Studio, used that for years and years, and then moved on to Logic when I got a Mac.
Right.
And again, paid for it, and I've got and now I've got Pro Tools, and I love them all for different things.
Right. So now I guess I'm going to just bring it almost. I'm going to give you free rein.
Okay.
Literally, if there's anything I haven't asked you that you think is really quite important to let people know in terms of to do what it is you do.
Okay, cool. I would say that be dedicated to what you do, but also remember that you're a business, and we touched on this earlier.
Yeah.
And for me, businesses all have kind of 3 basic concepts that you need to have covered if you're going to make money. One is figure out a product or service that you can provide for less money than it creates. You can provide at a price which is higher than the price that it costs you to produce or get this thing.
Yes, so it will be profitable.
Yeah, exactly. So that's your first challenge. And obviously as a producer, that's fine, because generally, you don't, to sit at your computer doesn't cost you money, really, right? Or to sit in your studio, hopefully it doesn't cost you too much. And then you can sell that on for a profit, as you said. The next thing is to find the people who are interested in what it is that you are doing or selling. Okay, so that's what we talked about, advertising.
Yeah.
But it could be word of mouth, it could be cards. There's so many network of events in London. I've been to, in the last 3-4 months, I've been to Musical Geisha, which is called the Ultimate Networking event. You need an invite. So yeah, I don't know how people can get in touch, but yeah, I can hook you up with an invite.
Definitely, guys, we'll put that in the show notes as always.
Cool. There's Notting Hill Publishing, who basically, Notting Hill Publishing are based in a studio in West London, surprisingly. But they do a networking event at, I think it was last at Tile Yard Studios in King's Cross, or possibly Strong Room in Shoreditch. And basically it's just a free-for-all where you've got big name producers, people who are constantly in the charts, along with a lot of up-and-coming and aspiring people just coming together and just meeting. Hey, I'm a producer. Hey, I'm a singer. What do you do? What can I have your card? Have you got a website? So that is one way to get clients and to meet people. Once you've got the getting clients bit down, the next bit is, that's incredibly important. You've already got a profitable product. You've found the people that who are interested in it, is figure out a way to exchange the music for the money. And that's a bit where some people fall down. They're like, oh yeah, I'll meet these people, I'll work with them, but we'll never do any contracts, we'll never agree any rates. And that's where you can shoot yourself in the foot and be working for years and years and never get paid. For some people, they get lucky and, their song blows up and someone takes care of the business side of things for them. But if you're not aware of the contracts and business side, then please read up on the internet. Just Google contracts for producers, all that kind of stuff, where you need to register your music, whether you need to be part of a society, whether you need insurance, all these kind of things. Get that side handled. Make sure that you know how someone can pay you, whether it's PayPal, online, whatever it is. And if you get those three things handled, you can make money as a music producer.
In pretty much good stead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's phenomenal. I mean, geez, guys, I always say this with all the guests I have on, but talk about gems. So what's next for you? Because I almost want to do with this, I'm starting to try and build not only my network, but I want to be able to touch back in 6 months and almost keep you accountable for your goals.
That's really good.
What is next for Akara?
To make more money from music, so to actually live everything I've just said, because obviously I know the theory and I do it sometimes, but I think it's the commitment and the consistency which is really important. This year, one of my acts that I'm working with, Mickey Lightfoot, we've had some tracks from Radio 1, and we've put a couple of EPs out. We've got more to come, and hopefully drop an album towards June or so.
Amazing.
And then start again hitting up the festival circuit to do some more festivals again. That'd be really cool. I'm working on another project with my friend Esther. It's called Delphi, and again, we want to perform, get our music out there, and build a fan base for ourselves there. The other gem that I'll throw in at this point,
please,
is that email marketing is super, super important. Like, we spend a lot of time on social media and on building websites, but ultimately your conversion rate, as in the number of people who are going to pay attention to what you're talking about, is so much higher if they've given you their email address already.
Yeah, it's like them giving you the keys to the door.
Exactly. So
don't be a stranger.
Don't be a stranger. Get to know, ask questions, provide useful content, kind of like what we're doing here. Give people stuff they want to pay attention to, let them into your world, get into their world, build a relationship that way. And we all know that, if you've got a mate who creates art or clothing or writes books, you're so much more likely to read their book than just some random person. Mm-hmm. So if you've already got that relationship with someone that you've built over email and so on,
you've invested some time.
Exactly.
So how can we help you since we're on this?
I'm building.
Put it out there. Like your website, your social platforms, and how we can help.
Okay,
what
so
are you looking for?
AkaraEtteh.com.
How are you spelling that?
AkaraEtteh.com. That I'm building that, and that redirects to everything that I'm doing. I'm also on SoundCloud, on Facebook. So SoundCloud is Akara Etteh as well. Twitter, Akara Etteh, that's ETT. Same on Instagram. But yeah, ultimately, I'm practicing what I preach and building AkaraEtteh.com just to solely get people involved on the email side of things, and then just giving you a little story of my life, my background, some of the stuff we've talked about, and my journey from day dot to now. Yeah, so that's me. And people, please check it out. And I'd love to hear from other people who are creative and are doing their thing musically, and who perhaps are interested in doing some of the things that I've done, or seeing some of the places that I've seen, playing at some of the places I've played at, Jazz Cafe, Roundhouse, like all these kind of places. Yeah, I'd be really interested.
Guys, jeez, if you don't get in touch, you're mad. Akara, this has been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure.
Hey guys, thanks very much for listening to this vodcast. I believe that's what it's called now, video and podcast. Or is it vidcast? Video podcast? Either way, we really appreciate you listening. And if you have any feedback whatsoever, anything good, anything that can make us better, please do leave it in the comment section below. Also, you can get all the info, all the links, all the resources we speak about in the description below. And last but not least, if you are someone who can teach us how you do what it is you do, because Blacticulate is all about empowering and upskilling the community, then please get in touch too. Thanks guys, you're the best, and stay tuned for another episode.